There's only one Jimmy Grimble, quite literally. Jimmy Grimble is an interesting one because it's one of them films that have quietly disappeared.
Was it?
Released in 2000 and directed by John Hay, the film is set in Manchester. Whilst on the surface it's a fun film about a young aspiring football player wearing magic boots, it's actually a solid and heartfelt coming-of-age film about confidence and what it's like growing up in Manchester. And yet it rarely gets talked about by British fans.
Oh, Manchester is wonderful.
The cast is actually quite strong. It has some prominent names at the time: Robert Carlyle, Gina McKee, Ray Winstone and Ben Miller. And playing Jimmy is a 16-year-old Lewis McKenzie, who never really went on to act after playing Jimmy in this film, which is strange because in my opinion he carries the film more than you'd expect. So I wanted to sit down and rewatch it and figure out two things: why the film seems to be forgotten, and why, despite its flaws, that it still stands the test of time and works. As far as football cliche stories go, this film actually feels quite unique still. The film follows Jimmy Grimble, who's a painfully shy Manchester City fan who's getting bullied at a school full of Manchester United supporters. Which, if you're a football fan, is obviously quite funny to watch now because that dynamic has completely flipped in real life today. A United fan bullying a City fan feels quite surreal today. Jimmy isn't just bad at football though, he's completely terrified of it. He freezes up in front of people and he has what he keeps referring to as motor neuron problems. Motor neurons are the nerve cells that carry signals from the brain to the muscles. And under pressure, when that anxiety or fear kicks in, those signals then break down. So that's what's causing him to play badly in front of people, supposedly.
Something not right with me, motor neurons. I just call it cacking me pants.
At home, it's just him and his mum, Donna. His mum's played by Gina McKee, and at first she comes across as a bit all over the place, and even a bit unlikable. She works late and she leaves Jimmy to fend for himself, but she also seems a bit wrapped up in her own problems. But the more that you watch, it does become clear that they're a team and they're both struggling, they're both lonely. So the audience ends up rooting for them and just wanting them to both be okay. That's one of the strongest parts of the film, I reckon, and without that emotional background given, then the fantasy elements of the film just wouldn't hit the same.
Mum, I love you.
Yeah, I know. Go on, piss off.
The magic football boots, that's the film's central idea.
Magic?
An old lady gave Jimmy an old battered pair of boots that supposedly belonged to an ex-Manchester City player called Robbie Brewer. Those ancient looking boots are the last thing he needs, so he throws them away without hesitation.
Magic boots? Brilliant. Just what I need.
Jimmy is supposedly awful at football. He looks completely clueless when he's playing. He has no concept of basic football at all. He stands all the way at the back of defence just waiting for the ball to come to him. And yeah, he seems to know that he's the worst player on the team. But in this film, what I've noticed is that Gordon, the school bully and the best player that they have, he seems terrified of him apparently. Just before the first match of the cup, he grabs Jimmy's boots from his bag and he throws them into the bin shouting,
No boots, no glory.
Him saying no boots, no glory, that suggests that he knows that Jimmy's a threat, even though the film hasn't really shown us that yet. He doesn't even make the squad, he's the only substitute in the team.
He's off, you're on.
Of course, since now his boots have been thrown away, that means he has to fetch the old rotting boots from the skip. And in the first match of the cup, he has to get subbed on for Gordon, who comes off injured. And he scores an accidental goal all the way from the other side of the pitch against the goalkeeper who's distracted on his phone. And then, yeah, suddenly everyone in the team loves him. There's no need for the film to pretend that it's realistic football. Jimmy just goes from being completely clueless to unstoppable overnight. One of the things the film definitely got right though was the soundtrack. Clearly a lot of care and thought has gone into picking the perfect tunes to fit the setting. And this stretch in the film where the team go on a cup run and then Stronger by Contempo plays, it's impossible not to feel moved by it.
Gainsborough, yes, my first hat-trick.
Eric Wirral, played by Robert Carlyle, is one of the best and also confusing parts of the film. We're told that he's somewhat of a Manchester City legend, City's answer to George Best, they say in the film. Supposedly he scored a hat-trick against Manchester United in the 80s, and yet none of the kids at the school recognise him. They treat him like a PE teacher that nobody has any respect for. Not even Jimmy knows him, who's supposed to be a huge City fan. None of the staff at the school notice who he is at all. All he's seen as now is just the coach of the school football team. That's until the film suddenly needs him to be respected, because then everyone listens.
Why did he say something at school?
Nah. You gotta want to learn.
You see, Wirral refuses to use his past to command respect from the team because the film's message is clear that belief has to come from within. But that logic doesn't quite add up because halfway through the film, the exact opposite happens. When Gordon's dad takes over as manager for a match and the team falls apart under his rigid, ego-driven tactics.
Give it to bloody Gordon! Give it to bloody Gordon, come on!
The players of the team finally learn who Eric Wirral really is, and the moment that they do, everything changes. Suddenly, they all listen. Suddenly, they're inspired. And suddenly, Wirral isn't just the ignored PE teacher anymore. He's a figure that they all admire and trust. Wirral doesn't earn their respect by announcing who he was himself. He earns it by waiting until they're ready to listen. So while the film says that belief has to come from within, what it quietly shows there is that people still need someone worth believing in. Everything collapses before the final of the cup though. The old lady who gave him the boots passes away. And then just before the match starts, Gordon takes Jimmy's boots from the changing room and throws them into a canal. So yeah, Jimmy then has to get brand new football boots and his belief completely evaporates. Back in normal boots, he's just completely awful again. He costs the team goals, he misses simple passes, and in turn the crowd, which to be honest is pretty bizarrely intense for a school match, they all turn on him. But then the turning point comes at halftime when Jimmy learns the truth. Robbie Brewer wasn't a City player, he was the blind program seller seen at multiple points in the film, selling programs to Jimmy and his stepdad just before the City matches. And it turns out that he was the old lady's son. So we find out that the reason that the old lady and Robbie Brewer no longer have a relationship was because he ran away from home after being upset that she had lied to him. Turns out she lied to him because it would have only made his condition worse. Stress made him go blind. So the film's message is that she told a white lie to protect her son, same way she told Jimmy a white lie about some old boots.
Now, if the magic's not in my boots, it must be in my feet. And no one's nicked them, that's for sure.
Then in the second half, he just comes out a different person. He scores instantly. He's finally playing with confidence and he trusts himself. The final moment is a pretty funny scene as well, as Jimmy's one-on-one with the goalkeeper and he has a choice: shoot and ultimately be the hero and score the winner for his team, or he can also pass to Gordon, who could also shoot. Instead, he smashes the ball into Gordon's face so hard that it rebounds into the goal. Quite a fitting and on-brand ending to the film.
It must be. Yes! That's the final whistle. Green on 3, Huntington 2.
So going back to the questions that I started with, why There's Only One Jimmy Grimble seems to have been forgotten, and also why it still works, I actually think the answer to both questions is the same. The film and the football within the film is quite exaggerated, and obviously the logic is quite messy, and it leans hard into fantasy. So of course it was never really meant to be a classic that people talk about in the same way as other sports films. But what I will say is, underneath the magic boots and the cartoonish football culture, it's actually a really sincere film about confidence and belief. It's about growing up and feeling inadequate, especially in a city where football feels like everything.
There is more to life than football. Just kidding.
What Jimmy Grimble does get right is that belief doesn't come from talent or trophies or other people's expectations. It comes from being able to finally trust yourself. And that's a massive part of the film that still lands, even if you had forgotten about watching the film previously. Thank you for watching. I'm liking the style of videos that I've been doing recently, so I'll continue making them. So if you got any enjoyment from it whatsoever, then any engagement on the video would be appreciated. Cheers.
Are you going with her, Jimmy? You pathetic little rat boy.